We're ready to rip on a Wednesday on 4 hot mics. Yes, I said 4.
I got the kankers cranking right now, bro.
We're already talking about mouth sores.
Hey, we're not afraid.
I had one last week.
We're not afraid, to be honest.
Are you a kanker guy?
Not like him, but
Okay.
it's like if I bite my lip, it's gonna happen.
Yeah.
And I bit my lip chewing gum last week, and so it just throws your whole week, you know.
Dude.
I hate to
Sucks.
just jump in, but Roy, are you stressed?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, not stress is good.
Whoa.
Go into
hey,
that.
maybe we'll have to put a pin in that.
Does
Yeah.
it means you're doing something worthwhile, or why is stress good?
All right, we can start and we'll get into more random stuff, I'm sure.
What's your welcome to the podcast, Roy? What is your
Is that what we're doing already?
Oh, yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
We're
rolling.
on.
Okay,
what's your pitch to people when you describe yourself? You know,
just a human doing, thinking. I mean, depends on the day. I can't stand the general, like I don't like bios in general. So I kind of just take it in the moment and see how I'm feeling that day. That's how I describe myself. But in short, it's not currently, that sounds bad. I'm a family man.
okay, yeah.
Currently a
now.
family man.
I was going to currently go into work, but then I'm like, well, that's not that important. I mean, at the end of the day, I try to find my 2 words in life are commissioning wins. And so I try to kind of orchestrate people winning. And sometimes that's not obvious. And I think the only gift I've probably been given is to probably connect and think through how people win and connecting people, trying to get wins and try to figure that out. So commissioning wins is my deal.
Roy, we met 7 years ago? 8 years ago?
We're definitely around there. Yeah.
Did you think we were winners, Roy? Do you just have an eye for a winner?
Well, so what's so funny is I just did a big blog that has not posted yet about the concept of being a winner or a loser. And to reframe that question, I saw guys that wanted to put in effort and cared about their craft. Whether you win or lose really is out of your control.
Mm-hmm.
If the market doesn't blow, if the Alpharetta scene went downhill when you guys started your cart, would you have been a winner or a loser?
Mm.
And so, it's our job to ready the ship, man the sails, clean the deck, kick off the grumpy people and see if the wind blows,
Mhm.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I definitely saw people that had a following. Is that a winner? Well, it could be a cult leader. They're a loser, right? We'd all call a cult leader probably a loser. But nonetheless.
Except for like us, right?
Yeah. And
We have been accused of being a cult.
Yeah,
Oh,
multiple
yeah.
times.
I forgot
And
about
we're
that.
not.
No cult. I mean, do you sell drugs? You're a drug dealer.
All
Yeah.
right.
Caffeine.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair.
But, and also I just love the story of people grinding it out. And also I'm passionate about people probably skipping college when it doesn't make sense for them to go. And I
Mhm.
thought, and I was also in the right frame of mind at that day or that time when y'all. Anyway, so yeah, I saw winners.
Long story short. Well, maybe should we zoom out for a second? Just say, Roy, we met at our church
That's right.
in Roswell. Shout out RCC. And do you guys know where we were at in the process of Valor?
We were at the Thrive pop-up,
Mm-hmm.
and Roy would just come in and get a cold brew, and we would tell him, sorry, we don't have cold brew. We actually have kind of like this Japanese flash, like iced coffee thing. He's like, no. Like, I want a cold brew. And that's kind of where the relationship started.
Mm. Yeah, I remember you left your glasses there one day. That's all I remember.
Sunglasses?
I think that's the first time I met you. You left
Okay.
your sunglasses and you came back to get them.
It's like that thing you do when you go on a date with the girl you like. You leave
Yep.
something behind to guarantee a next meetup.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so that's
I'm
what I
gonna
did.
write that down.
Been there. I'm going to try that on my wife.
You guys do that every time you come to my house, so you guys are already winning at that one.
Yeah, well, at that time, we had so few customers that, there could be up to an hour in between the customers that would come through the cart. So we would have a lot of time to distract people from their day or their work while they were in our space. So lots of good conversations were had in those early days.
Do you remember your order when you wouldn't get cold brew because we didn't have it? Would we like?
I would always do an iced Americano or a hot Americano. Whenever someone doesn't have cold brew, I go espresso, and we can get into all that conversation. But yeah, I don't typically like the fancy fruity stuff.
And there was friction out of the gate because of that. I mean, if you guys, we all know that you've watched our tier list coffee drinks, and iced Americano is low for us.
Yeah.
Cold brew is slightly higher, but even through all the differences, you supported us, and you were able to like help us fund our first build out in Alpharetta. And you were kind enough to do like a private loan where we can pay you back and we can still own Valor, which is kind of crazy. And then that just kind of set off our relationship for the next, 7 years?
I've never really heard this. What was your mental math in deciding to loan us money? Like, what was your thought process? I know you kind of talked about like, these are guys who are passionate about their craft, but outside of that, for your own financial side.
For the touch of background, we were about to take a Square loan. That was going to be like 13 or 14% basically. And I think the conversation came up because I just asked and still ask Roy everything that's like a big decision like that. And so I think I was asking him, and maybe deep down I was like, maybe Roy will loan the money, but I probably just wasn't man enough to ask. You know,
he wasn't loan daddy yet.
Yeah, not yet.
Yeah. Well, I had recently had some work stuff go down to give me the ability to do it. So there's that. I had to have the ability. And then secondly, my wife and I have always had a deal that, I mean, we love coffee. We met in a coffee shop. I got my first job. I worked at a coffee shop. I've worked at multiple coffee shops. My story with coffee goes back pretty far. My parents and I lived in a 2-bedroom apartment. Being in college, being in 700 square feet is not real fun to hang out with your parents all day. So I would just go to a coffee shop, and I, drank black coffee back then because it was the cheapest thing, and I could get free refill at Diedrich's Coffee in Houston, Texas. And so I would just post up for hours and meet all kinds of weird people and all that kind of stuff. But anyways, my story with coffee goes way, way back. So I'm into coffee. I would love to experience some of the coffee shop perks of being an owner, but I clearly probably don't have the talent for it, but also don't have the patience, don't have the retail schedule, all the things. And so, while me and my wife decided it'd be bad to ever open a coffee business, investing in a coffee business was great. And I mean, it's also fun that you're down the street. So if I could help usher in a coffee business or a coffee shop that I love, is good, is real, and it's a place that I could always go to, it's like, okay, let's make this happen. And then the math was probably not super thought of, to be honest. It's kind of a risky, stupid proposition to loan a coffee shop money, to be honest. Every restaurant.
That's why I ask.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I made a couple of stupid investments that year. So you guys are looking good compared to that investment. I'm still waiting for them to close up shop so I can get the write-off, but nonetheless.
The write-off. Oh my gosh.
I know you don't ever do anything for the write-off, but at this point it's like, if I'm not going to see that money back, that company is not going to make it, but they refuse to shut their doors, which means that I have this thing tied up. I mean, if you guys shut your doors, it'd be bad, but in this case, this business should shut its doors.
You don't have to answer this if you don't want to, but I remember when we had the conversation about that first loan, you were like, I'll do this on one condition, that you don't tell anyone that I loaned you this money. Why did you say that?
It wasn't necessary. It wasn't needed information. And I thought maybe your staff or whoever, although they did look at me weird every time, I'm like, no, remember I have free coffee here.
Yeah.
Speaking of, Mike, and also, I mean, maybe I was a little bit embarrassed by it, possibly. So,
what was embarrassing about it?
I don't know. It's just weird to walk into it. It's like, I just didn't want anybody to treat me differently.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's what it boils down to. But I mean, you guys, we did work an interesting deal. You gave me some perks as an owner, i.e. I get to drink free coffee for life, and my kids negotiated that into a deal.
Yeah. Was it the second deal or the first one?
The second deal.
Yeah, it was the second. Yeah, he had to sweeten it up.
Yeah. So me and my family get to drink free for the rest of our lives, which Valor is going to be a 100-year-old company. So, maybe need to get the next loan and write in my grandkids as a provision.
Maybe, yeah.
And a few other perks. But And I was spending thousands of dollars a year at a coffee shop. Thousands.
Yeah.
I think one year I spent $6,000 at a coffee shop. And it's because I don't like staying in offices. I like meeting people out and about. So this gave me a third place to have a meeting, all that kind of stuff. So it just made a lot of sense.
Yeah, and I guess do you think that you would have ended up with an office at Thrive if Valor, I guess just Valor removed, realistically? I think that kind of went hand in hand. You kind of officing there, being next door.
Totally. Yep.
Yeah. Man,
I don't know how interesting this is for people on the podcast to hear all this background, but I'm happy to share it.
Well, one abstract thing I was thinking about is right now we're in the middle of filming a how to start a coffee shop course.
Yep.
Spoiler alert. It's going to be huge.
Yeah.
Banger.
We were talking about funding.
Yep.
Because a lot of people, you're saying I can't open a coffee shop, right? I'm not the type of person to open a coffee shop. And that's not a knock on you. It's just life status. But often the type of people that probably could or should open a coffee shop, the thing they're lacking is the funding, right? And so kind of we're going through all the different ways that you could work out getting funding. And there is this kind of third door, I feel option of people in your community want to beneficially support something.
Kickstarter thing.
Yeah. Not even because the Kickstarter, we did a pay what you want, $10,000 for Alpharetta. We were able to get $21,000 in profit for Dunwoody.
and people were really rude about it on Facebook, to be clear,
What?
about the Dunwoody one.
Because
They were
they
rude
thought
about
you had already made it. Why are you asking us for
Yeah,
money?
exactly. Or why would we give a coffee shop? And the reason we did that one is because we wanted to give stuff away at such an insane deal.
Yeah.
It was more of this is your opportunity to get coffee for a year for $1,200 or
Yeah.
whatever.
I mean, people are always going to dunk on
Yeah.
things that are successful or whatever. And people don't understand that by someone giving you $10 ahead of time, they feel like they're invested in the brand. And that's really what you're trying to do is activate the community to feel like this is my shop. I took a bet on it.
Mm-hmm.
Money models.
Hey, Facebook's not good for much, but causing a ruckus is one thing for sure.
That's right.
But I feel there's that third door of maybe someone like yourself, but in a cool way, there's more people like you in other cities. And I feel we've seen that through wholesale partners and someone be yeah, actually, this guy, and this guy, they wanted our community to have a coffee shop. So they all put up X amount of dollars to make it happen.
Yep.
And that's pretty cool. Cause I mean, we talked about it a lot, but coffee shops, not a high ROI biz, but awesome for your community, awesome for the people that want to go there and be a part of it. And so people like yourself all over the world kind of can help make that thing happen.
Well, and to the coffee shop owner and the thing we've talked about early, it's you can't have a passive equity partner in y'all's model.
Yeah.
And so I would maybe stress that in the course is if you give away equity, you're going to be grinding 60-hour weeks, pun intended. And you're going to be paying somebody out the back door. I get it back, paying back for the loan, interest, whatever that needs to be, cool. However, sharing profits with someone, the model's not cut out for sharing profit with not passive people. If y'all weren't all active in the business, it'd be very, very bad. If Riley was just I'm going to go code, I still want a third of everything.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to peace out.
He tries that a lot.
Yeah. He pulls
He's
that card.
guys, can I code now? No, Riley, you can't code right now.
Yeah, we definitely harp on that a lot on this podcast, that even, from that stance or from the stance of if you want to open a single coffee shop, don't get business partners, honestly. Because you should just be the owner operator to where you can actually make a living. But what you're hitting on is self-aware, in that lots of people are, who do have the money to open a coffee shop will open a coffee shop thinking passive or I'm going to be a owner behind the scenes, and it just doesn't work. So in this course, we are pretty, I think you guys are pretty verbose about if you're going to do this, then go get a job on the weekends as a barista and learn how to do it and just be the owner operator, because the model kind of necessitates it.
Yeah, I mean, if you go look at any mom and pop restaurant, I mean, the owners are cooking, they're the door people, they're the one cleaning it up, they're there all the time. And that usually has to be the ingredients to keep going. That's the only way to justify it.
It had to be something special,
That's right.
I feel we've all seen the local business that's, always run by the same family, but then they start like hiring out and it's just like, oof,
Changes.
we lost the flavor.
Well, and maybe this is not against you guys, but I think when owners get too detached from the front of house, whether it's a software business like I'm involved in, like I'm meeting with customers all the time. And it's actually the funnest part of my job. Like I want to hear and see like I'm impacting this person's life at the ground floor every day, like the way they'll use my software. And it's the same way with the coffee shop. And I know y'all are rotating and scaling and doing all the things, but it is probably still important to go in there and do some lattes and all the things.
I think we struggle with that right now and like that path forward on how we're going to handle it because if I'm sitting here being honest on this podcast, I think it's been probably like 70 or 80 days since no, not that long. Probably like close to 2 months since I've stepped foot into Dunwoody. And it's like I justify that to myself as my hours at work are like precious and I'm trying to like grow the company. But it's still like not a good thing, It's like and then as Ethan steps into like a more not behind bar role, it's like even more important with him being like the cafe guy to still make the time to,
crush some dish.
Yeah.
Well, and I have a couple of relationships through my business and all this kind of stuff that really catapulted my company. And so if you think about each of your cafes as one of those relationships, it's like you tend to take some of the relationships that you take most dear for granted. And I would treat Dunwoody and Alpharetta as a relationship that you just have to touch base with, whether you get any value out of it any day anymore or not. But the reality is it supports like the whole thing.
Oh yeah, totally. And I mean, there's plenty of value across the board. It's like, I think it's just about making the time. And that's something I've been bad about.
Time to learn how to date our coffee shops.
Could you go into that a little bit more as far as like in all the businesses you've been a part of and the different roles and the different phases of those businesses, how you decide how you spend your time? Like what role you're in, like right now you just mentioned one of your top priorities is meeting with customers. So like, why do you value that? And how do you decide how you spend your time? If you're in charge,
And then before that, just know that we always use this line that you said one time where we're kind of, it's not making fun of you.
That's fine. You can.
It's laughing with you.
It's laughing with you.
Yeah.
Where I'm like, like, I don't know what you guys expect of me. Like I get paid for my shower thoughts. Yeah. Like I get paid to think in the shower. So.
Well, no, that came down to a conversation I had with my boss at the time, and they were aware I was starting a side hustle, and they didn't like it. And I said, "You can't afford my time in the shower. Like you have to pay for that."
Yeah.
And they ended up paying up and gave me equity in the company, and that's
great.
Shower, couch, the whole deal. Because I'm kind of an all-in guy, like I can't ever turn it off, and so it's like if I even had a job at Valor working the bar, which y'all rejected me many times. I was unemployable. Hey, I'm still unemployable.
Keep applying, dude. Just keep at it. Yeah. It's stiff competition.
Maybe I'll get a referral. But nonetheless, like, so back to the original question. How do I think through time? A mentor said you should spend 7% of your time thinking about your time. So if you think about that, that's, a full day a quarter, a couple days a year, and just intentionally planning out. Honestly, every Monday I make a list of things that I just have to get done, and I just plow at that. And then a lot of times I try to set meetings to direct my time. Because, if you ever preach a sermon or give a talk at a conference, like that dictates you backwards math, like when you need to start preparing for it.
Mm-hmm.
And so like today, I didn't prepare for today, obviously you can tell, but
hey.
It's on my calendar, so I do it. So my calendar, backwards math, the tasks, and the things that I must do. But everything else is just about the venture and giving it a chance to make it. But it's hard. Honestly, I haven't figured it out. And I don't think and this is another thing. If you ever know what you're doing, you're underpaid. Like the only way, like if you know exactly what you're doing, you're a commodity. As soon as that happens. Like your pay is set, you have a market rate, everything is like, if you know, then you know how much you're making, you're not taking risk. So if you're in this spot where you don't know and you are uncomfortable and you don't know how to do it and you don't know how to plan your time, and I don't know what I'm going to say to that customer, I don't know what I'm going to do when this thing fails, that's where I try to live. And so starting your own, like what you're doing right now with Shopify and doing some of these things and doing the things you're doing with wholesale and your new role and you're evolving. It's like when you sign up to start a business, you sign up for not knowing. That's when you, when you get married, you sign up for not knowing. I mean,
yeah.
And
that's
I think
such
that's
a great way to reframe imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
It's the opposite of that.
Yeah. It's, I have no clue how to do this thing syndrome. Like, and you don't wear that. You have to be confident when you're talking to a customer or a wholesaler or whatever you're doing, but you don't have to be arrogant. You don't have to like, the answer can be, I've never thought about that question you've just asked me. Let me go back and meet with the team or whatever.
Yeah. It makes me think of, my head with all that instantly goes to our employees who we care for.
That's right.
But there is the reality that like the model dictates the types of roles you can have and for a certain period and for that person's time. So it's like all of our baristas on our team, we don't really want them to be baristas forever because we care about them and we want them to eventually, like you're saying, like, you know, either start their own thing or like take the next step forward in their career. If it's here, awesome. If we have the role for it.
Totally.
But realistically, it's like we've had to kind of, I think, take a different angle than what a lot of the other players in the specialty market do that we think is kind of unrealistic with like, we're going to, you know, raise wages for baristas to XYZ so that they can be career baristas, and be more like, no, we're going to invest in you and your time while you're here. And then you can like take the next step in your path towards your life.
Yeah. And I mean, if you're a barista, you know, like this is not the whole not knowing and knowing how much you make and all that kind of stuff. You might do something stable so you can do something unstable on your own time or on the outside. Like I talked to someone recently, actually a relative, they work for a big government bureaucracy deal, but their kid got leukemia. And I thought about getting him a job at one of my startups. That would not have gone well. That wouldn't have been good for the startup. That wouldn't have been good for them. The insurance wouldn't have been as good. I mean, his daughter's life might be saved because he had this boring government job.
Yeah.
And so there is a chapter for all these things. But I would say a lot of times when people have these stable jobs, they fill the outside unstableness with more so hobbies or call it just scrolling, doom scrolling or pleasure scrolling on social. Sure. And that's where I think you have to really press yourself, and it's not fun. It's not, it's not comfortable to go and start a side hustle on the side. But I'm very pro side hustle. I used to be anti side hustle, and it's because I think I took this I'm the boss, your labor, you should dedicate. Like it was a misconstrued perspective on life, to be honest. That I think I've quote unquote grown out of. But I think everybody should have a side hustle.
Well, the fun thing about our industry is that we have like some hard assets that can be like leveraged to benefit our employees' side hustles. Like we have one gal who's trying to get into like event coordinating and concert planning. She's like, can I host concerts at the Dunwoody coffee shop? And I'm like, sure.
Yeah.
I mean,
although you all did tell me you would never have an acoustic guitar in any of your coffee shops. I think you said that. You're like, hell no, over my dead body will anybody be playing music in one of our coffee shops, and maybe after hours, or you've grown out of that.
And then, so maybe we'll just keep putting a pin in things that you said we would never do, or we said we would never do that we've changed.
Yeah. We've got a list of about 10 things so far.
That'll be a good segment.
Yeah.
But also like, that's just the thing of like the coffee shops close at night. Yeah. So another girl, Morgan, who she's wants to have like a studio for like hobbyists and like teach all these different classes. And I'm like, yeah, every other Monday, nothing's going on from 6 to 8 at the cafe. You know, it's like, yeah, do it. Like host a class.
Totally.
And so,
and y'all do that with ESL and all a bunch of other stuff.
Sure.
That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think, I wonder how, I remember at one time we were talking and you were telling me about, your ideas for like however many businesses. How do you manage And I guess what that philosophy you're talking about, like side hustle, I feel like the worst thing I've ever done with Valor is not be focused on Valor. Um, and it's like whether it's like I get my real estate license or like I'm doing web development on the side, or I'm like even like playing church gigs on Sunday to like make some extra cash. And it's just all that stemmed from being underpaid in this role. But then like the problem to remedy that is to work more and harder to make myself paid higher. So I don't know. You have had a lot of things going on. So how do you? What is like your level of or percentage of focus on like your main
Yeah.
thing at a time?
There was that, I think it was Good to Great came up with this hedgehog concept, and they dig deep, go deep down a vertical. They have domain expertise. They can always be getting better. And then another book came out called Range, and it likened it to a fox that had a lot of range. And I would just say my talents are pretty elementary. It's connecting, it's ideas, it's communicating, these kinds of things. And I find that if I went deep in any given area, it wouldn't determine a better outcome. I would rather go find someone who's more intelligent or better at this thing and hand that off as soon as I got any kind of scale or momentum behind something. So, I mean, it's the same thing. If I ran a coffee shop, I would be looking for guys like you to come in and run it and focus on it and figure out the model in a way that allowed me to make money and paid people that were good at their thing. Mm-hmm. And so I don't think it's a false belief. I think I'm actually, quote unquote, living my best life. Like, I am really good at certain things. I am horrible at most things. Mm-hmm. And so I think most people should focus and go all in on a certain thing. I don't think I am that person. And also, I am all in on the things, but it just looks a little bit different than what the conventional wisdom would be.
Yeah. I think we have only actually started believing in that philosophy in the past 8 to 12 months. Because like we've been talking about it for probably like 2 years, like replacing ourselves in a lot of the business.
Yep.
But it's like we still almost come from this almost like poverty mindset of just like our time isn't actually valuable, but because of what our pay has historically been. So it's like we have to be the ones to do the thing. And that's just, I think it just like stems from like a lack of belief in ourselves to focus on the most important stuff that's gonna grow the company.
I think that's such a prevalent theme in our industry. Is like I was just talking to someone in coffee who was talking about how they started a coffee shop that's really successful, and they didn't have any background in coffee, but they wanted to do it. And they've struggled to hand off the actual operations of the cafe to a GM and finding the right person. And so I'm trying to analyze, like, why is that prevalent in our industry? I think it is part of that, like you said, poverty mindset of like, there's just not enough to go around, because the reality is there's not much to go around. I think another part of it is like, we're so passionate about the actual craft of coffee that we let that passion speak louder than the value of a viable business. And like the path to a viable business a lot of times is what you're saying, which is like expanding and handing things off to more people that are more capable at the thing than we are.
Yep.
What are some of the things that you've learned about doing that? Like you said, you like to trailblaze something, develop momentum, and then hand it off to someone better. How do you do that?
I would say I don't know. Only because it's like the game's always changing. Every business is different. All the things are just, and somebody listening to this might be like, "Oh, this guy's got like 100 successful companies." I don't. It's like I'm still in the grind stage. I've definitely taken some chips off the table, and my family won't be living on the streets anytime soon. But nonetheless, I haven't probably nailed it. But I know a couple things. One, I think I'm really good at the high level thinking, and I'm really good at the ground floor meeting with customers and getting dirty. All the middle stuff, like coding, customer support, following instructions, honestly, I just can't do. Mm-hmm. And so, like, I really liked waiting tables Why? Because you don't know how that, if it's a jerk, if it's a nice person. I loved working in a coffee shop because you never know what's coming in the door. And then I really like thinking, and everything in between, I just don't like. And so I simply, and I'm not good at, I simply just, it's a mechanism of survival. Nothing I will do in life will be successful unless I find those people to fill in the gaps. And most of the people I thankfully go in and say like, hey, I don't know what you're getting yourself into, but you got to be willing to sign up for it. I recently was able to recruit someone. I said, if you want to make a lot of impact and not a lot of money, you should come work here. And she did. I gave her equity in the company, and she has some upside. And as soon as we get to some revenue, she'll start making it. And so she signed up for the rodeo that we are. But yeah, so I would say I haven't figured it out, but I have to survive.
I think you are definitely a man of thought, like a deep thinker. Like even when something as simple as like reading your LinkedIn posts or just even listening to you talk now, like it reminds me of, you remember Dale?
Yeah.
So Dale,
he's a very handsome man.
Yeah, absolutely.
Shout out Dale.
He's one of our best friends. He's the same way. He's a thinker, but like whenever I hear him talk, I think that is someone who doesn't look at social media. Like that's someone who doesn't fill his time with doom scrolling.
Yep.
And you mentioned that earlier about how someone may have a really steady job, but then they fill the rest of their time with mindless pleasure that doesn't lead to anything. So like, is that something, are you intentional about that? About setting aside time to think and formulate your thoughts, or journaling, or like what practices do you employ to be that way?
And I'll frame it like this. Like if you have a steady job, you're de-risking your life by having a steady flow of income, but you should take an outsized bet or an asymmetrical bet with 10% of your time or time outside of work. And so relating that back to thinking, it's my favorite thing to do. Like my number one thing to do is think. And so I have given up all hobbies that prevent me from thinking. So I gave up golf. I give up tennis. I love playing those things, but when I am playing those things, I can only think about those things. And my pull is to thinking. And when you are thinking on a golf course, it's very, very bad. And I grew up golfing. I was good at one point. Now I just am an angry monster when I play golf because all I want to do is just think. Malcolm Gladwell calls golf a good walk ruined. And I don't necessarily think through all the stuff like he's talking about chemicals and green space and, the plight of the American worker, blah, blah, blah. Sure, some of that's probably a grain of truth. However, I just like to walk because it encourages me to think. And then I got off Facebook as soon as my mom got on Facebook, like 16 years ago. Mm-hmm. So I haven't been on Facebook. I am on Twitter, so I do probably scroll too much on that. I do LinkedIn because of work stuff. But and I have no following anywhere, and that's fine. But I write because it's good for my soul.
Yeah. And
I think because it's the most fun thing for me. And that's where I was an only child, kind of. I have a sister who's 10 years older and I was a latchkey kid. I was home alone a lot. Some of the kids didn't come to my house because my parents were home. So we didn't, we did shoot BB guns inside my house and did stupid things.
That happens.
And so, and so I think kids didn't come to my house. So I was alone a lot. And I found that I liked it. Mm-hmm. My wife still makes fun of me because I call myself an introvert. I really do think I'm an introvert. I'm just a very extroverted introvert.
Yeah.
How, I know it's taking it a little personal level, but being married for as many years as you have been, how has it been inviting someone into your thought? Can you externally process with your wife, or is it just like Roy needs to go and think and we'll just like have family time later?
No, we have a pretty integrated life, but I have work and I go do that. And most mornings I'm in town and I'm around, I go walk and I just say walk and talk because a lot of times I'm on the phone call. How many times have we talked lately where I'm just walking? So I walk about 5 miles a day. And I'm out.
Your Apple Watch calories are always wild.
Yeah, I'm in the woods. The last 2 days, it's fatty central, to be honest, but because I've been in meetings all day. But if I'm not walking, it's A, bad for my back, and then B, It means I'm not thinking. So I get out of the house, take calls, and think. And with AI, actually, recently, I've developed a new flow of writing, and it's speak into the memo app on my iPhone, translate those thoughts, clean them up, grammar, keep my tone. I have like a little project where I don't try to change my writing style, and I keep it pretty original. But anyways, I've developed a whole flow on how I think.
I think that's just such an important takeaway for anyone listening who's operating a coffee shop or starting one. Is it's such a high hours investment to start something like that. Like, you're in the space all the time. If your time outside of working at the shop is filled with nothingness, like just scrolling is what I'm saying, then I feel like that's just a fast track to destroying your mental health and burning out and not wanting to work. Because like, I feel like you just need time to decompress. I mean, that's why it's called a shower thought, because you can't really bring your phone in the shower. And so you have...
Speak for yourself.
You have thoughts in the shower you wouldn't otherwise have, because you're slowed down enough with no distractions except for the grout on the wall to think about, you know?
Yep. I mean, scrolling on social is like eating a donut, and then you eat enough donuts and you wonder why you can't fit in your pants. And it's the same thing. It's like, I wonder why I'm burned out. I wonder why I have a short temper. I wonder why I can't think straight. I wonder why I'm not thoughtful. It's because you're eating damn donuts with your mind. It's not nutrition.
Do you guys want to jump to our just some things that we've learned from Roy? Like,
Yes.
Go ahead, Roy.
I think we should start with cold brew.
I'm scared though.
Yeah.
So this lovely, delicate, velvety cold brew.
So what were we already alluded to you coming in the early days, ordering cold brew. We don't have it. What do you remember thinking about that? And how does that relate to like you seeing us in those early days being like, they've got some stuff that I could share with them that might help them?
Well, I never thought that.
I remember you being like, I mean, don't do cold brew. I guess you just don't like making money.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the only thing I did prepare today was to talk about Jay-Z lyrics. And
wow.
I think there's this song called Moment of Clarity. And in verse 2, he says, the music business hate me because the industry ain't make me. That's kind of interesting. Hustlers and boosters embrace me at the music I'm making. I dumb down for my audience and double my dollars. They criticize me for it, yet they all yell holla. If skills sold, exactly. Yeah. Basic 45-year-old white guy rapping in a Valor podcast.
We're not giving you a beat, and that's our fault.
If skills sold, truth be told, I'd probably be lyrically like Talib Kweli. Truthfully, I want to rhyme like common sense, but I did 5 mil. I ain't being rhyming like common sense. So there's these rappers, in this case, Common and Talib Kweli. They're called conscious rappers, and they had all the respect in the street, right? But he's saying if I dumb down, I double my audience, meaning, he has songs for the radio, whatever. And so
I believe it was dollars.
Yeah.
You double your dollars.
And so I think this came up because I went to a coffee shop in Atlanta recently and I ordered cold brew. And they're like, no, we do the same wrap y'all gave me. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, okay, I'll just have a quad Americano. Thanks. Iced Americano. And he, told me all the reasons why I should not like it. And I just asked him if he liked IPAs, and he said no. I said, "What do you like?" He goes, "I just like American lagers." I'm like, "This is the point."
Are you sure it wasn't me talking?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and I won't say the name of the coffee shop again, but it's just like people like what they like, and I think always trying to change people's preferences, or whatever. Or I think there is this point of holding your craft seriously, and then also you need to make money. And as entrepreneurs, you guys needed to make more money. And also, I think, the lines were long, all this kind of stuff. Yep. But the reality is a lot of people like cold brew because they just want something down the middle that's relatively always the same. And you guys do have better cold brew. Like, I go to many places and order cold brew, and your cold brew is better. So while it might be number 17 out of your top, 20 drinks, it's still better than the cold brew elsewhere. So you are elevating cold brew at the same time of meeting the market. And, you guys going to draft cocktail or draft drinks on the keg. I mean, you can just make people happier because it's faster, it's done.
Yeah.
You know, the person takes his thing. So all that to say, like maybe to the business owners and some of the lessons, it's you can change the market in single percentage points. You can't change the market. Just the market is the market, and you have to meet the market so you have a chance to change the market or move the market. There's every once in a while where you create a whole new category that, like Starbucks did. Let's be honest, like the concept of a cafe and this, you know, next wave, or fill in the blank technology.
Matcha kind of hit like that new category in a coffee shop recently.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't stand matcha.
Have you heard about the matcha shortages like worldwide right now?
No, I'm out of the
We and
matcha
everyone
blogs
are just constantly out of matcha because it's like it's pretty similar to like the bourbon boom a few years ago, honestly, where like you used to be able to go in and get Buffalo Trace, bottom shelf. It's like
$24.
Yeah, and then now it's like matcha is that. Just like, but like the entire industry.
And maybe similar to bourbon in that like it's from one area. So it's like, unless you're making like counterfeit, you know, if you're just doing like a tea powder, but matcha comes from like Uji, Japan, stone milled, shade grown, certain tea variety. It's like,
nice. Yeah. But I love that line of thinking because I remember, and probably maybe what this barista told you in Atlanta is that cold brew is just objectively a lower quality extraction, like low res version of whatever coffee you're brewing, which is often why a lot of roasters, definitely not us, kind of put like a kitchen sink blend together for their cold brew because just like it kind of doesn't matter.
Yep.
You can brew like a super fruity coffee on cold brew and it will taste different, but that's why we never wanted to do cold brew because it's like that's not our best.
Yep.
And that's part of the craft side of the craft and the passion side of this industry is like we want to give our best because we are passionate about it. That's like the art side of it.
Yep.
But at the same time, like, do you want to exist or not exist?
Well, and I love Radiohead. They're probably my favorite band ever. I can't listen to Radiohead every day. I can't handle that complexity all the time in my ears. I sometimes just need like Find Me a Damn Dirt Road by Muscadine Bloodline, just my dog and a beer and a dirt road. You know, it's like I just need some simple music sometimes. And that's, I think, what people like about drinks and coffee and food. Like if we all had these, you know, 5-star meals all the time, then you wouldn't appreciate them, A. But anyway, so I think for a business owner, you got to find the market to have a chance.
Yeah. In that back and forth about cold brew that we had in somewhere in that period of time, you were like, don't make your customer spend extra calories thinking about stuff. And that has really stuck with me since then. Just you can still serve a complex product and also not have to do the sidebar explanation of things. And it was just doing more harm than good to give the spiel and then give someone something that they didn't actually want. I think the dilemma for us at the time was like, or the thought process was, if we do that, if we like sacrifice on this, then what are the extents we're going to go?
Yeah.
And I would say we've maintained a good balance. We have a dark roast now as well,
which is the only thing I buy. Turbo diesel, baby.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, let's go.
I mean, and when at the
cold
house,
brew concentrate.
Cold brew concentrate. It's always a depressing day when you guys don't have that ready for me.
Do you still wish that turbo diesel was darker?
I would say my wife is probably on that train. I think turbo diesel is great as is, but we drink it through an AeroPress fellow like kind of concentrate filter, so we are getting like the absolute darkest.
Using the fellow Prismo.
I don't know what. No, just the AeroPress. Oh, the whatever that goes on the bottom of an AeroPress.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. You should see his AeroPress. He's got the nice one.
Grayson, can we pull that up?
This reminds me of a decision that we were faced with a couple of years back of an opportunity to expand to the airport, and the way that they configure the vendors at an airport is, even if it's our brand there on the sign, it's going to be ran by the staff of the company that brought us to the airport.
Yep.
You know, kind of like a third party labor service, I suppose, operation service. We would still be selling them our nice specialty coffee, but it would be brewed on super automatic machines that are really great. They're Eversys machines. That's its own thing. But a huge part of our vision is not, it's the top 1% of coffee in the world and the top 1% of hospitality in the world is our vision.
Yep.
And so, you know, are you solving for your vision or are you solving purely just for money? And so if we were solving just for money, then we would be like, man, we could sell that airport location hundreds and hundreds of pounds of coffee per week, and that would transform our roasting operation and that would move the needle positive.
Yep.
But, you know, how many times, like even if the coffee is good there because the machines are good and they just press a button and it's good and we can monitor all the recipes remotely, that's fine. But what about the hospitality side of it, which is a big part of our brand, especially on the cafe side?
Yep.
So I don't know. It's just that decision reminds me of that as well. Of like, how do you interpret your vision? Because what if we were able to be the best coffee brand at the airport? Is that still a win? Are we still in the top 1% of hospitality and coffee in that context, similar to the cold brew? Are we still the top 1% of coffee? Like you said, you go to all these other places, our cold brew is better. Is that still a win?
Yeah. And that's where I think the framing of winning and losing is probably the wrong framing. It's not as binary as that. And I always like talk about, you know, why are we in this? And that gets back to like an ethical conversation possibly. Is it to make money or not? Well, you know, I always talk about Maslow's hierarchy of needs, and there's safety and belonging, all this stuff. Well, if my kids didn't have an apple, I'd probably steal your apple and feed it. So am I being unethical? Sure. But I am trying to save my kids. And so it's hard to get past some of these things in these third world countries where, you know, safety and belonging and basic nutrition baseline needs aren't met. If you guys were about to go out of business, you would have figured out how to do that coffee thing and make it work.
Yeah, at the airport.
It would have changed your framing. So would you have been a winner or a loser that day? And so I think it's just the wrong thing. And you know, time always usually tells if a decision was bad or stupid. I mean, I think if you're clearly lying, cheating, stealing, that's bad. But to throw your barometer off by going to the airport as a bad decision for the brand, I think right now you don't need to do it. Like, you can be more conservative, and so you should make decisions with that lens. But if you're about to like close doors, then you should have done the deal.
So I have had so many conversations with people under 25, 26, whatever, that are starting coffee companies. And that's what we were. And one of their chief concerns and risks in their mind with starting the coffee business is, I have no business experience. And I think that I can relate to that 100%, having been in that situation. But I didn't really even know. I didn't know what I didn't know. I didn't even know what I was supposed to know about, like, okay, I know I have this vacuum of a need of business experience, but like, I also didn't know what I was supposed to learn.
Totally.
What do you think, like, as you've watched us and just thinking about that, what are the basic, I don't have business experience, I need it type of things that people should learn early on? Or should they just like go for it and figure it out?
We also didn't have ChatGPT and like AI.
That's true.
Whenever we started.
That's true,
and
bro.
that I never want to be like annoyed by any sort of like I'm not like ever annoyed by questions that are asked by like people who follow us.
Mm-hmm.
At the same time, it is like, I know you're asking me about this. If I had this question, I would just ask ChatGPT and I would get the answer like instantly.
I have started to tell people that, like, kindly, like someone recently asked me, like, how do I get an LLC?
Yeah.
And I'm like, dude, Google it.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the next topic.
You see the website, letmegoogle.for-you.com?
No.
And it like takes them to Google, types in the words and reroutes them.
That's funny. That's really funny.
Yeah. People would ask me like, when's that band coming to town? It's like, you have the internet. Why are you asking me this question?
Yeah.
Or what's the weather like there? It's like, doesn't matter.
Yeah.
All that. I think if you're wanting to start a business, you're probably wired in a way that's probably not going to heed all the advice anyways, because it makes no sense to start a business. So let's get that out of the way. It makes no sense to start a business. It's an arrogant position to think you can do something better than the person next door or that the world should part ways for you. So you're already starting from this point of closed-mindedness, which is what you have to start a business. You have to be a little bit arrogant to think that you know better than the next guy. I mean, we're in a capitalist society. It's not your daddy or your mommy or your hookups. They're going to keep you in business and you paid. You have to win on the field. So you have to be arrogant. So given that position, like I never went to class. I never went to school. I think the best teachers are online. So when I want to know something, I go learn it in the moment to use it in the moment. And I would say you should go, you should be curious, go get an LLC, fumble your way through the Georgia government website or Delaware, whatever you're doing to start the things. But I think you don't need to know anything except that you have to go learn. And then the only decisions, so like if you're flying an airplane and you go into the ground, it's game over. And so game over in business is running out of money. Do you guys remember the conversation I had about what we all said? I said, what are the worst things that can go wrong with this business? Do y'all remember this conversation?
Yes.
What did I say?
Like there's a sexual misconduct at the cafe or something.
That's right.
Yeah.
It's a lot of the things that you're not going to learn in a seminar. It's making a stupid decision because you're out of your mind and the right thing. Like that would ruin y'all's business like overnight. And so it's running out of money. It's doing something completely unethical and wrong. And so there's really, it's show up the next day, do a good job, prioritize your time. And if anybody, I'm saying this to someone right now, that has no bearing on their success. That's either wired in or not wired in. I think y'all had a unique partnership. That was interesting. So if you are going into business with other people, like I'm talking to these guys that want to start a company, they're all the three same profiles. They're all good at the exact same things. Maybe there's gradients of both sides, whatever. But you guys are all pretty distinctly different. And I think when you are going into business, especially with three people, like it makes sense to be different. If you're all the same, I think things will get messy pretty quick. And I personally don't start businesses with other people. If I'm doing something that I'm very passionate about, I want to be majority owner. And I want to find people to come along and give them stake in the game and give them equity. Or I want someone to be very passionate about and them have the outsized equity table and I'm just in the 1% position or 3% position in supporting them and getting some upside, but not like them. And so I think about it as like, I have certain businesses that I treat as my kids. Like I am all in on them. And I have some kids that are like my nieces and nephews. Like I don't want them to go to jail. I don't want them to die. But like, if they go to jail, I shouldn't be their first call. They should call their parents or whatever. Mm-hmm. So advice, and I think either Mark Andreessen or Peter Thiel said this, like, if you need advice and you feel like you need advice to start a business, then you're probably not an entrepreneur.
Yeah, learn it in the moment to use it in the moment. I love that.
Well, you should learn basic financing before you get into it, or you should probably sign up for QuickBooks or something like before you have an Excel spreadsheet or a bank statement that makes no sense. Like there's certain things you should probably learn before you start doing, but
yeah, it's just everything's so accessible now. Yeah. That's where I have like a little bit of like jealousy that like it wasn't, which, maybe
you're already the old man saying you walked uphill both ways.
It moves that fast though.
But I'm just like, if I was going to ask these questions, I would get a Perplexity membership and put together a Perplexity lab that's like, tell me everything I need to know to start a coffee shop. Mm-hmm. Don't do that. Buy our course. I'm just kidding. Our course is going to be free. So,
free.
Or I would go and I would pay for a course or something of those sorts. Again, we're in an industry where people are, just to put it clearly, so broke when they're starting a coffee business that if we're like, hey, you should partner with our friends, Localize, and they will make your SEO to where you're going to actually get leads for your coffee cart. It's $1,200, and people are like, oh, I can't pay $1,200. Mm-hmm. I've got to buy the espresso machine or the grinder or whatever. And it's like those are all valid points that we would have made at that point.
Yeah.
Well, and that's where if someone doesn't have enough money for $1,200, I would say you should go start a main hustle and then have coffee beer side hustle, totally. And still it can take over. Mm-hmm. That's the reality. Go be, like you said, a barista somewhere, or go be a customer success person at a tech company, or go be a gym teacher, or whatever you need to do.
Mm-hmm.
Totally. No, I totally feel that.
And I mean, I think most of the people, like you're saying, in their mid-20s and younger that you're talking to in the coffee business, whatever, I think there's this whole go to college, follow a script, do the kind of deal. And I think going to college is important for some people, but not for most people anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's more important to go learn a trade, go be a welder or electrician or something like that. But all that to say, like, if you're following someone else's measuring stick, like, I think starting a coffee business is like the perfect example of getting if y'all shut down Valor, what would you do? What would you go do?
We talk about this all the time. We talk about it sometimes.
I mean, it's just, like somebody that's coming out of ministry or nonprofit world, they're like, what am I going to do in the real world? And you probably feel like that a little bit because you've been in this bubble of coffee. What would you do outside of the bubble of coffee?
I think I'm too spread. I'd have to focus on something.
You'd hire him. He just work for you on something.
Well, I've offered. He make more money for me than he can here.
That's
we know,
easy.
We
that's
know.
easy.
Yeah, don't rub that in my face.
I don't know. I'd probably do that, or I'd start a marketing agency or something, which would be hard, but it'd be fun.
You'd start a farm.
I actually got offered Scottsdale. They're like, we want to have a farm and we want someone to run it for the restaurant. And I was like,
sounds sick.
I'd have to quit Valor. So I'm in. But I was literally, depending on urgency, I was like, UPS driver, go to trade school, or try to go mooch off of Ross's mom and work with in HR consulting, culture, doing teachings.
Yeah.
I like that stuff.
I'd help Riley.
There you go.
Yeah, or my mom too. She's in a place with her career where she has a lot of experience with HR and culture, and she doesn't even I always talk to her about growing her business, and she's just always like, I love what I do. I'm not necessarily trying to take this to the moon just at her stage of life.
Totally.
But I think that it would be fun to help her scale that and help her stay in a place where she's enjoying it and is comfortable with her work. But something like that.
I saw a LinkedIn post that you made that I disagree with.
Let's hash it out.
It was on CRMs. You know that one?
I don't.
You made something about hiring a salesperson and how if they don't use a CRM, you would prefer that.
Oh,
because of the type of person they are.
That's right.
And I think I come from the side of, I think CRM basically is a to-do list, right? In so many words, it's to give you actionable steps to talk to your customers. I think everyone's problem and, maybe even everyone's failure in business is because they don't operate a to-do list. I would say for the most part, for the general public. And as far as typical, people working for other people, basically, most of the problems most of the time I've ever have had to have a sit down with someone, it stems from you're forgetting to do this thing because you're not operating a to-do list.
I agree with you about operating a business. I think sales, and I'm speaking from enterprise software sales.
Sure.
You only need 5 or 10 deals to move the needle for the whole year.
Mm-hmm. So you're saying fly by the seat of your pants?
No.
But
Hear 'em out,
in
Roy,
order to accommodate, your 10 or whatever,
your whales,
big dogs, your 10 whales.
If you're a good salesperson and you only have 10 whales in the pipeline, and you are a person who knows your craft, the process is the same every single time, and you know where you're at all the time, and you should have total recall of every conversation that you almost ever had. Every salesperson I know that operates at that level where they hit quota and they're the person you want on your team has total recall, memorizes names, has it. If you're not the best salesperson, you need those crutches.
Sure.
And to be honest,
that would be me. I would suck at that.
Yeah. And that's, and I want to I have a few sales guys in mind. I just call them and ask them for their pipeline. If I needed to log in somewhere and see their pipeline, that's great. Anyways, once again, I'm a little bit maybe off in my thinking there, but I just know the best salespeople I've been around don't keep their CRM up to date.
Well, okay. To be fair, you just said that Ross, that you're bad. You would be bad at that.
Correct.
Keeping your CRM up to date or bad at sales?
Both.
He's just bad in general. No, he said that he would be bad at remembering things.
I need my
without a
CRM to like I have a phone call with someone, they mention their wife's name, I have to write it down so that I remember it next time.
Well, and that's where I would say
You would say, is that necessary information? Is that what you're going to say?
it's probably not.
Okay.
I think it is because whenever I can so I'm the opposite of Ethan. Ethan, who was that yesterday? What I think
You can't even remember them.
Yeah, right, exactly. No, I think we had
it was our new guy Dom, and he was talking about his family, and I was like, "Oh yeah, how's your nephew blank?"
Yeah.
And he was like, "Oh,
This guy remembers our day one employee's nephew, who you've talked to Dom under 20
So I'm
times.
hiring him and not hiring you.
Right. That's fair.
You have a job, buddy.
stop it!
Yeah.
You don't have to go to the farm.
It's so fair. It's so
They're taking
fair.
me to the farm."
But that does move the needle. Like when he said, I don't even remember the
I didn't want to
name.
say the kid's name.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the kid's
There
name.
you go.
Dom was like, wow, that's a really good memory. But that made him feel so good in that moment.
Yep.
And that's just not a skill I have right now.
Which is fine. And
But you're tall.
But you probably remember.
makes up for a lot of it.
I don't want to tie it to money, but I do want to tie it to money. You probably keep the conversations with the top players a little bit more top of mind than someone that you've had one conversation with
Yeah,
who
absolutely.
has never ordered.
I think what I'm good at is trying to figure out what people need
Yeah.
and then matching that with what we can do. And
Maybe a little more like project or task oriented on like how you can be a man of your word on what you say.
yeah,
You know, like, oh, you wanted samples. I'm getting these things sent out ASAP. Oh,
Yeah.
you wanted an offer sheet or blah, blah, blah. I'm making it right now.
And it's also a little bit different if you're working 100 deals a year or 200 deals a year and it's a volume sales play. Yeah, then it's more of tasks and different thing. I'm talking about the killers who go out there and just, call, make it happen, make life happen,
Sure.
make it happen.
Rent an apartment in the city of the
Yeah.
account.
All right.
you're
Enough
posting
talking
out.
about how I
You
suck
were
my
you were
tongue.
right. I was wrong, Roy. Okay. Again.
No, I mean, there's not right or wrong to it. It's my preference on who
It's
I would
fluid.
hire.
Sure.
Okay, to close us out,
Yeah.
is there anything you think that we're doing right now that is stupid that you would change? Putting you on the spot. And us.
We can edit the empty
Pause,
space.
the
Yeah.
awkward silence. Nothing has come to mind lately, but honestly, I've been going into the shop a little bit less. I mean, I think, what you and I talked about last week about going all in on digital and the amount of money that you guys spend there, you have the chance to get it really right or really wrong.
Yeah.
And I think
It feels like and I hate to say this, but it's so true. It feels like could put us out of business play or could really grow our company play. And it's like, I'm like, what's the in between?
We're on the right track then, right?
well, and that's where I think
Which is maybe a good thing, I guess.
I don't
right?
know if you
you're
can't, what we might have decided on the phone. I don't know if you landed there or not, but I think it's going back
Yes,
to the,
we did. I listened to exactly what you said.
It's going back to the fundamentals of, I will not overextend ourselves financially to where it could compromise future decisions or period. And that's where I have a thing in life where it's like I like to gamble in Vegas and I only want to lose, let's say $300. Once I have $600 on the table, hopefully it goes that way. I play that first 300 super conservatively. And I play by the rule book. Once I get $600 on the table, I take the $300 off, put it in my pocket, and I am risk taking. It's on like Donkey Kong, and I am playing some weird hands because making $300 in the casino at that point doesn't change my life. I need to turn that 300 into 3,000 or 10,000 because that's what gets me a vacation or surprises my kids with something, right? And so I think what you're doing now with the digital strategy is seeing hey, can I get up? Can I prove? Can I get some gains? Whatever. I think you guys are starting to get more of a appetite for risk, but you're in a business that doesn't have the margin of error and the margin profile to take big risks. You have to do it pretty measured. And I think, like, going back to the casino, you get bored with doing measured things because it's more fun to take these stupid bets. I'm going to bet pocket fours or, do something like that. And in your world, it could be like, man, we're just only growing 7% a year or 15% a year. Like, we need to double. And that's what gets you broke really quickly. So I would say you're on the verge of doing something stupid. I wouldn't, like, my experience in the cafes have been great. Obviously, like, uplifting people through coffee has its downside because it means conversations at the register could take too long and you need to move those to backup bar. So that's like always a thing. But if you're going to have a thing, it's your employees are too nice, like that, there's worse to be, whatever. I think your cost for food items have gone too high and it's hard to keep your, I love this thing, but not $8 worth, and you leave almost with a negative impression of something. So I would say y'all's food cost, but that's just the cost of inflation now. So that's been baked in. But I think you should vertically integrate your food business. I think you need to get rid of a third party on that. I think you got to vertically integrate.
Sounds like a headache.
Maybe.
Well, you have this new space.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Get an oven.
Yeah. Which, by the way, we're so excited to have the new space done. I don't know if anyone can hear the construction next door, but
it's happening.
We got to do like video showing the full thing. Excited for that.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming on, Roy.
Yeah, man. It was
you.
fun. It was like a normal business meeting between all of us.
Exactly.
I know. Now you can tell us what you actually think.
Right.
Off air.
Yeah, that's right.
All right, everyone. Thanks for listening.
Bye.
I don't know why anyone would listen to that.
Hey. That's how we feel every time.